Fostering connection through authenticity, the People Pleaser podcast validates struggles, celebrates growth, and inspires positive change.
Together, let's embrace vulnerability, challenge patterns, and evolve with compassion.
Hello, everyone. It is Corie. Just Corie. I am coming to you solo today. I wanted to talk about turning 40, which is what I'm doing. I'm turning 40. As I'm recording, it's August 13th, and my 40th birthday is on August 18th when this episode is coming to your ear holes. And I wanted to record this episode for a couple of reasons. One is it feels important to honor this age, this time living on this planet, this experience of learning, growing. I also just feel like I want to come back to myself a little bit, and that's why I wanted to just have a solo episode. I've been absolutely loving having Cindy join the pod and be my co-host. It feels so good to do this in partnership. And we've also discussed that there are going to be certain topics that we may just want to venture on our own. And there's something really intimate about coming to you alone. And for me, this podcast has really been this audio journal, this opportunity to connect with a community in a very raw, unfiltered, vulnerable way. It's also a way that I'm connecting with myself in a authentic, raw, and vulnerable way. I have always been a journal keeper, and I've always felt like I need to process externally, whether it's through conversation or writing. I feel so much. I think that's something that we highly sensitive people can probably all relate to. The feelings are sometimes so big and so overpowering that it feels like they need to be released. So often with clients, I do this, you can't see me, but I do this motion of letting air out of a balloon, when you're that is what this process feels like for me. It's just letting a little bit of that pressure out, letting that air out. And it feels really good. It feels really healthy. And I think it resonates with a lot of you because there are a lot of you listening, and it's always been this process for me of checking back in and being am I too real? Am I too vulnerable? Am I too specific? But it's not that I'm looking for people to relate to the exact experiences that we share here. But I think if anything, my hope is that it gives you permission to not just experience someone else's vulnerability in a safe way, but to look at your own relationship with vulnerability and how can you maybe tap into it or examine it, look at it, nurture it, love it, etc., etc. So 40. Truthfully, these past few weeks have been like a swirl of energy. I don't even really know how to describe it. I feel a buzz. I feel just electric. And I think it has part to do with the fact that I'm turning 40 and also just what this time in my life represents, where I actually am. Age aside, the choices I'm making, the stages I'm in, just the real life stuff that's going on. And it's hard for me to actually know how I feel about turning 40 because like, truthfully, there have been different periods of my life where I looked at 40 with dread. It literally felt like the beginning of the end. Like, that is when, like, you've crested the hill and now you're coming down. It's all downhill. And not in like an easy breezy fun way, in a like you're headed towards the end, like the good stuff is behind you. And I think that part of that comes from just watching my own parents age. And when you're a kid and growing up, like, your concept of age is so skewed. Like, 40-year-olds seemed ancient to me because I was 8. And 40 just felt like a lifetime away. And it was a lifetime away. And so there are these residual feelings of like, like a little bit of fear, like, have I got to where I want to be if this is like somewhat of the middle of life, like mid-age, midlife? What have my 40 years meant? Like, how would I summarize that? Yeah, like, what have I made of myself? What does this life represent? And as much as that sounds like reflective and positive and like airy, there's a bit of worry attached to it, if I'm being honest. There's a bit of, am I making myself proud type feeling to it. I will say that as I've, approached 40 over the last few years, I've started to feel differently. It's not that those other feelings have gone away entirely, but new feelings have surfaced, and they are definitely more empowered. They're more excited. I feel like a lot of the struggles I have had in life are either behind me or becoming smaller, or I've learned from them, I've overcome them, I have tackled them in some kind of way, like they're under control. And that's not to say that there's not going to be more challenges ahead. I just feel like there's been a lot of learning. There's been a lot of learning the hard way. I've actually just been reflecting, like 10 years ago this month, it was just like 10 years ago, a week ago, I married my first husband, which, that now it's been a decade since that. And we were only married 2 years. And I have now been with Brian for 5 years. We've been married for 3. And that just goes to show me, like, oh my gosh, like, so much can change in 10 years. I recently reached out to a friend that we had a bit of a falling out, honestly, and we had gone, quite a bit of time without speaking. And I've been doing a ton of reflecting on that situation. And when I kind of came to the decision that I wanted to reach out and I wanted to lean into some repair with her and that friendship, I realized it had been 5 years since we've spoke. And that is just so wild to me. And so there's so many examples of time like passing by and like flying by. And then, there are other examples of time ticking really slowly. And that's really what it feels like when I really try to summarize and look at my last 40 years. It's like, oh my God, it's been a literal lifetime. Like all the time I've ever experienced has been like, it's just been 40 years. Like I'm a drop in the bucket. I'm a little speck on, on this universe, in this universe. And so, yeah, I guess I want to come back to just that, these new reflections of 40. I really do feel like I am stepping into a new version of myself. And of course it's not new. It's all versions of myself coming together in full force. It's 40 years of experience, 40 years of being a human and learning so many lessons and making so many mistakes. And, like there's also just been so much joy and laughter and change. And the confidence really is like confidence in myself, confidence in I know who I am. I know how to call in my strengths and show up authentically. Like there are so many things that like I'm getting so much better at. Like I'm really, and this podcast has been such a huge source of accountability, like showing up in my true self, like, and not shying away from the very things that I long for and crave for, like actually going after the things I want. I I just want to share this funny little experience I had yesterday because I was so mindful of tracking my change. I was going into a store and there were these three young men, probably in their early 20s, canvassing for like a charity, like I think it was the nature conservation. So they were trying to fundraise for this this organization, and they were all smiles. They were putting on their very best show. They were like doing a really, really good job. And so often I will like walk past those people, like eyes down, like not making eye contact, like zipping in and then also trying to avoid them on the way out, like trying to like sneakily go through a different door. And all of that behavior comes from a place of I don't want them to ask me for something that I can't give, or I don't want them to ask me for something and me not know how to have a boundary. And I took the active choice, I made the active decision to like look at them in the eye, make eye contact, and have a conversation with them. And I listened to their spiel. They were super, super good at what they were doing. They were putting like 110% effort into their job and, raising funds for this organization. And it even turned into like them asking me what I did for a living. And this young guy started like asking me like, oh, and like me and my girlfriend, like I've gone no contact with her. And like, what do you think? And cause I had said I was a counselor, and we just had a great laugh. Like we were laughing. It was lighthearted. And it did come to the point where they were asking me to donate, and they wanted me to donate either monthly or quarterly. And it was like, a largish amount, like, and there wasn't a lot of flexibility. They kind of had this like set parameter. And I looked at him in the eye and I said, right now I'm donating to one other cause, and that's all I can commit to for donations right now, but I'll definitely keep you in mind because this is definitely a cause that I am behind in so many ways. And that was that. And so I guess like, that's not really like necessarily related to being 40 or turning 40, but it like totally is, because not only is that like a growth moment right there and a moment where I had a success, so then that then propels me toward like more behavior like that. But it also, that was a new experience for me. Like that is something that I can be like, maybe I am growing. Maybe there is still hope for like some of these patterns to dissolve and dissipate and like not be needed anymore. And yeah, I have been just like loving the conversations with Cindy these days and like what we bring here to the pod, because we are in these similar seasons of growth, even though, our timelines are different. There's so much support within our friendship to grow, to continue to put ourselves out there, to build the podcast we want, build the careers we want. Full transparency, like we want to bring more. We want to create more together. And that is so cool to have like found someone who like not only wants that for herself, but like sees that in me and is able to like put that trust in me. And that is like really good feedback for me to know that like I am someone that brings something to the table, that I can inspire others. I can continue to be inspired. And I just feel that our relationship and our partnership has so much excitement and reciprocity, and that's just really fun to think about. I have also been, oh man, it's been hard. I've been leaning into boundaries in a new way, and I've been doing a lot of work with my own therapist just around like the boundaries I hope to have with my family. I haven't really had boundaries with my family before, and I am doing what I'm doing is like looking at the ways that I have protected my parents for my whole life in very different ways, and it's been really interesting to unpack and explore. But there's been this narrative that I've held for so long that like I need to protect my parents, and like within those dynamics, that means that by protecting them, I haven't necessarily been that great at protecting myself. And that has translated into like having super porous boundaries and, trying to protect them at all cost and to not ruffle feathers and to just feel like I'm holding on to the relationship so tightly, but the grip is actually like not serving me. It's actually not serving me at all. And it's not necessary. It's not being asked of me. And so I kind of see that as my current chapter of growth, where I've been unwilling to look at boundaries within a family context before. And I don't really know why that is, but we had a family, I don't even know what to call it. It felt like kind of a family crisis, which feels like a really strong word, but it felt like a crisis in my system, and it really all it was conflict. And I know that for so many families, conflict is really normal and probably healthy in some ways. Like I've been around families where my nervous system is like, oh my God, there's conflict. But they're like, Corie, this is fine. This is normal. This is how we communicate. And that has kind of shown me that I've avoided conflict so well, and for so long within my family unit. And I really want to change that. It's not that I want to like lean into conflict necessarily, but I want to lean into honesty and start speaking up to the things that don't sit right with me or don't feel good. And yeah, just trying to figure that out. So it's really interesting to be like, wow, 40 years old and still trying to figure things out. But do we ever figure it all out? Like, I think the figuring out is all a part of this game of life. And I'm not afraid to continue to figure things out. So that's kind of where I've been at lately, is just sort of like wrestling around with with how to facilitate and nurture boundaries within my family, like for myself. I'm almost done my master's, which is, it just feels like I've been in it for so long, and I'm sorry if you're sick of hearing about it, but it's really been a full-on experience, and I'll be really, really relieved when it's done. And so I am now finished one half of my practicum, which was 15 weeks. And I have a 3-week break coming up. And then I have another 15 weeks. And then I'm done. So I will be graduating at the end of December. And that is just so cool. So that is another place of wonder and curiosity and excitement for me, that I'll have a master's in counseling psychology. I can go on to pursue a career in counseling. And I've just been having so many great experiences at my practicum. I have a caseload of like 13 clients, and I just feel so lucky. And I mean, I think what's next for me, like, once I'm done my practicum, is to begin narrowing in on like who I want to work with. I'm so grateful for the experience I'm having right now, where I get to work with absolutely anyone and everyone. But eventually I will probably niche down and get a little bit more focused on a particular demographic. And I'm still figuring out what that even is, but it's exciting to be able to think of the career I get to create. And yeah, that's to come. I think another weighty part of turning 40 is the sort of concept of my, what do they even call it? Biological clock. The childbearing years, and how that window, is in some ways getting smaller and smaller. Brian and I really do want to have a baby. That's something we both have always wanted. And, we got married later in life. We got married in our, I think, Brian was maybe 39 and I was 37, something like that. And, it takes time to develop your life together. We did 3 years long distance, and in, the first year and a half of living in, I immigrated. That was another huge thing. We bought our house. Brian started a new business and has been progressing his business and has now hired 3 employees. And yeah, like there's just been so many life things happening. Our dog River has had to have 2 major surgeries on both of his knees. So it's just like life has been full, and we do keep coming back to the conversation of having a baby and, really wanting to try to have a baby. And it's something that I think holds a little bit of grief. And I think the grief is I think the grief comes from a place of like wondering, can I have a baby and still take really good care of myself? And it's been a long road figuring out how to do that. I have a lot of data to show me that like I can quickly forget about myself and put myself last. And I know that having a baby is like the ultimate test of that. And so there's like a part of me that like just wants more time to just get stronger. And I know that's real and that's like realistic. And then there's also the like, okay, but you kind of have to figure it out soon. Like, and I know there are these like wonderful and amazing conversations happening about women's like fertility and how women are now having babies later and later in life. And that's become really normal and like really accessible. And, you know, the women I have been talking to, like, it doesn't even feel like there are limits, which is so refreshing and exciting. And so I do keep that in mind. I do hold that really close to my heart. But yeah, there's a part of me that really just wants to be intentional and like take things in stride. And that's why it's been really important for Brian and I to like, yeah, like live in the same country, establish stability through career and house, come together, the two of us as a family, really root ourselves in our relationship. And he and I have been going to couples counseling, which has just been such an incredible experience. We've really grown together through that support, and I just feel so deeply connected to him. And it's like there's an excitement in our relationship, and I think that's why it feels like exciting to also think about building on our family and having a baby. So yeah, that's just kind of like a big part of turning 40 for me, is like that has also held some weight around like timeline, and a timeline, like a kind of this unsaid timeline that I've held for a long time, that I didn't want to have a baby after 40. And that was because I was afraid of what that would mean for me physically and what that would mean for the life I could provide my baby. But I honestly feel healthier and more physically capable than I ever have in my life. I do not feel myself slowing down. I feel so excited that like, and so proud that I've just been prioritizing myself, and I've like really honed in on my self-care. And like I sleep so good, I eat really well, I love exercising, I love being active, I love being outside. I'm building some really cool friendships that are just so life-giving and supportive and happy. So there's a lot of really, really, really good stuff happening. And I feel excited. I do. I feel hopeful. I feel really curious. And I think the feeling I really have is just feeling like rooted in myself and in the life that I'm building, continuing to build. I'm going camping tomorrow, so for the weekend. A new friend that I met at work has invited me on a camping trip on the coast. So that is just so exciting. It's a backpacking trip. I just feel a little rusty in that department. But so I pulled out all my gear and reminded myself how to pack a pack. And that it just feels, I'm like excited about it. I've been excited about it all week. And then when I get home, my bestest friend Carrie Ann is coming with her family to Port Townsend, and she will be here for my birthday. And we are going to have a little Port Townsend birthday party on my actual birthday, just a backyard birthday with cornhole and croquet and food and yeah, just like wholesome backyard hangs. And then I actually am going to Victoria. I'm coming home on the 19th, and oh my God, it's going to be a totally jam-packed schedule. And I just am so excited. I get to see lots of friends. I'm going up to see my dad's house and just check in on things and get to visit my friend Kiana and her 1-year-old. He's older than one, who I haven't met yet. So I'm so excited to meet Asher. And then I'm like throwing an actual birthday party with like some of my nearest and dearest at my mom's house. And I've just been getting so excited about the planning of that. I've been getting like super nerdy and putting goodie bags together and planning the itinerary. Because although I'm a Leo, I was raised by 2 Virgos, and so it is very confusing. I love order. I love a plan. I love things to run on, somewhat of a timeline. So it's all really great. I'm just feeling so incredibly blessed and so lucky. And then I get home from Victoria on Sunday and I'm like back to work on Monday. So things are about to really pick up. So I'm just really focusing on savoring these last couple weeks of August. And yeah, I'm going to hit the ground running. I'll be back in practicum and working full time through till June, basically. Practicum ends in December, but yeah, so lots to come. And I forgot to mention the most important part is that while I'm in Victoria, I'm going to see Cindy, and we are going to spend a whole day and have a sleepover together and just put some really good energy into this podcast. So she's calling it a retreat, which I absolutely love. I love that. She's been putting a lot of thought into it. And it's just so, we've been doing all of this long distance. So it'll be really fun to just like be in each other's energy and podcast in each other's energy and just, bring it all together. And so thank you for being here. I knew that I would be able to just babble on and on. That's never been a problem for me. And if anything, this is just an opportunity for you to reflect on your own, where you're at in this moment in time. I know a lot of my friends are turning 40 this year. They've already turned it or are turning it soon. I know that like it's a Leo season, Leo sun. I'm not even going to pretend to, I think something's in Leo right now, but there's a ferociousness, a fierceness to the astrological energy. And so I just hope everybody is getting what they need this summer. I hope that you are just surrounding yourself by like exciting, powerful energy, that there's color and vibrance and good music and delicious food. And I don't know, this week I've been like really just trying to listen to music. I've been like deep in the podcasting world when I go on my morning walks with my dog and in the car. And these last couple of days I've shifted to just listening to music, and oh my God, it has been so good to just like vibe out, like rock out. The car dancing is top tier. And it really has just like propelled me into action and excitement and fun. So I hope you get yours. I love you so much. Thank you for being here, and I will catch you on the next episode. Bye. Once again, this is Corie
and Cindy with the People Pleaser Podcast.
Thank you for supporting the podcast. If you liked what you heard, please consider leaving a 5-star rating and a review on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
You can find more content from us on Instagram at peoplepleaser.pod. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.